People who work at Disneyland. What are some of the weird things that get found under the rides? Where they fell out of people's pockets. I don't work at Disney, but I did work at a local amusement park for 5 years. The highlight of my career as a ride operator was definitely pulling a dude's prosthetic leg out of the bushes by my ride. A year after this comment thread. Headline: Decapitations at theme parks increase worldwide as people break into dangerous, fenced-off areas for small trinkets. Seriously though, you can get decapitated and/or seriously injured around theme park rides. Stay in your safe zones, humans. Last time we were at Carowinds, we saw a cell phone underneath one of the big coasters. There was a fence that prevented anyone from getting to it. At my nearest Six Flags there was a kid who jumped the fence to get his hat. Poor dude lost his head. These comments aren't half as interesting as I'd hoped. I was expecting goofy shit. Yuck. IME, it's the usual. Keys, phones, money, wallets. Then there's caca, meth, and the rest of the drugs. I think I'd like to try me some of this caca. It's real cheap and easy to find. You don't want none of that trouble, haha. I worked at a small theme park that was not Disney. I just want to see this question get more responses. I mostly only recall finding lots of loose change. But at one time I found half a lit incense stick under the Ferris wheel. That's neat. Actually, I think it's called sandalwood. A girl I was with asked if I wanted to put my phone in the locker on water ride near the exit. I handed it to her and she dropped into the water in the gap between the boat and pier. The next time I went to that theme park, that water ride was officially closed. Water ride at theme park 0 Nokia 3201. Hey guys, if you found my Game Boy, let me know. Taking a Game Boy on a ride would be a pretty risky maneuver. I've never worked at a theme park, but I legit saw a dildo fall out of someone's pocket while I was waiting in line. It fell about 10 feet from where I was standing. Bright pink, anatomically correct. A lady came off the ride patting her pockets and looking red-faced. Nobody said anything and that dildo was there all day. Go to do something while waiting in line for ages, eh? Not a Disneyland worker, but I was once at Disney with friends and we turned in somebody's passport that had fallen out of their pocket to the security guys. I really hope whoever lost it got their passport back. I don't work at a theme park, but at the Hurricane Force ride at Fiesta, Texas, there is a bunch of counterfeit $100 bills under the ride. Two girls decided to hop the fence surrounding the ride while it was in operation, and grabbed a whole stack of them. They were so pissed when they found the truth. I don't work at a theme park, but this story is too good to share. I got to watch as the guy at the front of the feet-dangling roller coaster lost his shoes in the middle of the ride. I was about 5 rows back. They weren't even recoverable. We were going over a giant man-made pond at the time. No idea what the guy did for the rest of the day. If you're going on a roller coaster where your feet dangle instead of being in a car, make sure to tie your laces. A question I can answer. There are a couple that stand out to me. I used to work all the rides in Fantasyland. One night at the Casey Jr. train ride, a gentleman ended up dropping his can on the train track. When the train got back to the station, he let the cast member know that he dropped his cane on the track. Of course they had to shut down the ride to go get it. The guy didn't care to wait around and said that he and his family were going to ride Peter Pan and to send it over there. So the dude goes and rides Peter Pan. I'm working at the exit of the ride when he gets off and asks me if his cane has been dropped off here. I told him no sir, no cane here. He was just like whatever and told me to send it to Dumbo in case I get it, cause that's where he is going next. 5 minutes later, a cast member walks up to me and hands me this bent, beat up and scratched aluminum rod. I'm staring at it and ask him what it is. Turns out it's the dude's cane. He dropped it in front of the car he was sitting in and the train ran it over. The cane was nearly unrecognizable. So for the next hour, this cane is being passed around to all the different rides in Fantasyland, trying to catch up to this guy. He ends up going back to Casey to ask about it, and the cast member explained what happened to it. Guy just laughs it off and was like, "It's cool. Shouldn't have dropped it in the first place. Just send it to Lost and Found and I'll get it tomorrow." Was kinda weird, but the guy was completely chill about it. So, the rides in Fantasyland close about an hour before the fireworks show starts. They launch fireworks off the roofs of the rides, so they have to close cause it's not safe for guests to be in the ride while fireworks are going off on the roof, just in case something happens. So, I end up closing the Mr. Toad ride for the fireworks. When we power down the ride, we always walk through it to make sure it's completely empty and to pick up an items that guests have dropped. So I start walking through and come across this line of white powder. The consistency was something between dust and like a fine sand. I step on it a bit with my foot and I can hear it kinda crunch, and that's when I realized it was human ashes. It was a line of ashes going basically from the beginning to the end of the ride. Just one solid line. I finish up walking through and let my supervisor know what I found. We had to wait until after the fireworks to get custodial out to clean it up since we couldn't be anywhere near the ride during the fireworks. This one took place at the teacup ride. The teacups sit on one giant turntable that spins, and there is a small gap between the turntable and the concrete. I open up the gates to let people into the ride, and a gentleman who's blind walks in with his cane. The front of the catches the tiny gap between the turntable and the concrete. He looses his grip on the cane, and it falls through the crack and underneath the turntable. His wife comes over to me and explains what happened, and sure enough, looking through the gap with a flashlight, the cane is sitting there, about 6 feet under the turntable. I had to get everyone off of the ride and close the line, and call our maintenance guys to come out, go underneath the turntable and grab this gentleman's cane. Don't work at a theme park and I've never been to Disneyland. But years ago I was at Bella Wired, and while I was waiting for my friends to get off a roller coaster, the ugliest necklace I've ever seen in my life flew out of nowhere and hit me on the face. I was so offended I put it in the bin. Swim goggles, brass knuckles, hypodermic syringes, stun guns, ski masks, pepper spray. You know, the usual stuff. Everything you need to rob a bank. Condom. Apparently the remains of cremated bodies are routinely dumped in Disney parks. Guess they're doing it as a last resort. I lost my house key on Pirates of the Caribbean in 1989. Reported it to security and everything. I'm still sitting on the fucking porch. Wonder if the A's won the World Series. My friend is typing this to help me out, using some bizarre electronic device. Thanks. Worked as a lifeguard in a large wave pool, and found some bikini bottoms just floating about. Not Disneyland, just a carnival, but my driver's license fell out. I came back a few hours later, and the carny tried to get me to fuck him to give it back. Why do I feel this will be in a YouTube vid after blowing up? If sit as someone, circle me in red with arrows pointing, circle him in blue and with arrows pointing away instead. No, I have never worked at a Disney park, nor have I ever been to one. I would love to go if I had the money, but I do know one semi-famous anecdote. Some idiot once brought a loaded handgun in with him to one of the parks. Normally, this isn't allowed, but this was before all the hyper-attentive security after 9/11, so it was missed until the incident happened. He was riding on the Haunted Mansion and the gun fell from his person, discharging on the ride. Luckily nobody was hurt. Well, when the crew were fixing up the ride after this little incident, one of the Imagineers found what the bullet had struck and found it was a plain piece of glass. Normally he'd just replace it, but an idea struck him. He put a spider's web directly in front of the glass instead. turning it into part of the macabre decor of the mansion. One single Winnie the Pooh ear, an amp, #X200B. Lots of people wear silly hats at Disney. For a time they also sold little hair clips with different characters' ears. Mickey, Minnie, Winnie, and Marie from the Aristocats are what I remember. One of the hair clips fell off. Was in a dangerous area so only got recovered after everything shut down for the day. Not a worker but the guy in front of me left a used condom in the seat. #WHATTHEHELL. Myriad stomach contents, a steel cattle counter, clicker thing, and a small child. I work in the restaurants there and people leave empty beer cans under tables in the corner a lot. 9mm handgun. I didn't work at Disneyland, but a small theme park in the US. I was only there for a very short period of time, but I know there was always money. Someone would go through and pick up after rides and collect lost money, which was then donated to charity. The same with money thrown in the fountains. The weirdest was a bunch of one-piece bathing suits under a roller coaster that didn't allow bags to be brought on and which people were strapped in. It's not like a hat or sunglasses that might fall off. Were people smuggling one-piece bathing suits onto the ride just to drop them at some point? We also found litters of kittens. The theory was that people would drop cats off in the parking lot area, because there were so many people coming in and out that someone was bound to pick one up and take it home. Anyway, the cats didn't always get picked up and they weren't always spayed, neutered, so around the perimeter of the park, especially, but really throughout, you could find kittens.